Hello, my name is Michael Deck. So in this instructional video, I am going to give you the ins and outs of assessing and collecting data in an autism classroom. So what is my learning intention? My learning intention is within this video, I will show you why and how I collect data within my autism classroom. I will explain why collecting and assessing data is essential to maintaining student progress towards their learning objectives. I'll explain that the data is collected through discrete trials during one-on-one and whole group instruction. It varies by student. Lastly, I will explain how I address changes to learning objectives and targets upon needs, supports, and mastery. So let me get started. In my district, every special education teacher has a data binder. It's digital and it's within the Microsoft Teams application. That's where all student data is housed. In my class, each student has their own channel. Within that channel is where you can find their data, their graphs, their tables, their learning objectives, their programs. Everything for that student is within that channel. So that's where we're going to get started. Within this video, we're going to focus on the tables, the graphs, the learning tasks, and the program list that the students have to work towards. First, I'd like to look at the learning progress and what the students worked on, what they've mastered, what they haven't mastered, where they were the previous day when I assessed them. So I like to begin here. Every day, just review, okay? What did I do with them yesterday? What was the score that they got in this certain learning task? And where can I go with them today? So if I were to take a quick look at this activity, I have here are all the dates in which they were trialed and given some sort of task that they had to complete. At the bottom are the different sheets that share which learning objective that we're working on. This one just happens to be a reading skill. And at the top is the various prompt levels from full prompt to them doing it independently. And in this case, this student is completing most of his this learning objective independently. We also can see the table, or chart I should say, graph, that shows the student's progress throughout the program. This is really just showing the last 2 months because that's how long we've been in school. And it shows that the learning target 1 was mastered. Now we're focusing on a learning target 2. How did I know it was mastered? Well, the last 3 to 4, I like to go 3 to 5 consecutive days where that student has scored an 88% accuracy or 100%, anything 88 or above, tells me that that student's mastered that learning objective, and now I can move forward with the next one. But how do I know what the next one is? Second, or next. This is how I know what comes next. So after assessing all of that data that I collected and determining, okay, this is where the student needs to go next, he's mastered all of those learning objectives for learning target 1. Now I have to find, what is learning target 2? So the focus is this. In our district, I use the ABLES program for the autism classroom, and the learning objective is written out right here. But then what are the targets? What do they actually focus on? So AGC was working here, identifying 2 words with corresponding pictures. He mastered that. That was too easy. Then he moved up and mastered 5 corresponding words with pictures. Too easy. Now we're assessing. Third, he's identifying up to 10 words and their corresponding pictures. And then he will move on to level 4 of that learning target. And then once he's able to identify at 20 or more words to corresponding pictures, then I can say that this learning target, this learning objective is done. It's mastered. He's done. We're going to move on to the next one. But how do I get that? Well, I'm going to look back in my ABLES program, and whatever comes after Q5 would then be the corresponding next level to this objective. So once I've assessed all the data, I've determined that the student is ready to move on to the next level, or whether he's not, this is where I'm going now. I'm looking at his data sheet. I'm looking at what is the programs he's working on and how am I going to assess this program as we're working on each task. So this is the task sheet. Within the task sheet over here labels the program and the task that he must complete. This is the one that we've been focused on, which is that reading skill where he's matching words with pictures. This is the directive that is required from the teacher, and then what will come out of it. So we're looking at AGC will match words with pictures. Great, that is the objective. Then what will be presented to him? Well, I'm going to present him with words and pictures. Whether that's through a puzzle, whether that's through a worksheet, whether that's through we love Boom Cards in our class. That's one of our online applications, and he's able to work on that independently. So with that application, I can sit with him for 5-10 minutes and assess whether or not he's able to match these words with pictures. If he is, then he gets a plus in the column. If he gets 8 pluses in a row, then I can say that he's mastered 100%, and then we can move on to the next level. If he's got minuses all the way across, then no, he still needs work in this area, and that's when the score is put in. If he's able to get 6 out of 8, that gives him about a 75%. That's not what we're looking for. Again, we need 88% or higher consecutively between 3 to 5 days for me to move on to the next learning target. So finally, all the data is collected, it's graphed, it's analyzed, and I can determine if the student's making progress. And at the end of the day, all I want to see is that the student's making progress. And if he is, great. If he's not, then I need to adjust and assess what I'm doing, change it, and then work with him on improving and fixing these areas where he's struggling in so we can move on and actually start to show some more progress. So I hope you found this video insightful. It gave you a glimpse into the autism classroom, at least in my district. So thank you for watching.